America. You're listening to America's Voice now. My name is Michael Evans. I'll be your host this hour. Thank you for joining us. We'll have a guest this morning, Jill Henderson. Jill is the purveyor of Show Me Oz, the very best of the Ozarks, where she has books, heirloom seed sources, regional events, a host of different projects and products out there for you to take a look at. She is an author, and I encourage you to participate in that. She'll be joining us at about 1:15. I am going to talk about a couple of bulletized news stories, which we're going to get deeper into this week as we go forward. One, Fusion Center director from Arkansas. Richard Davis, the Arkansas State Fusion director, has simply confirmed Americans' greatest fears, that the center does in fact spy on Americans, but only those who are suspected to be anti-government. Well, I have a question for Mr. Davis. How exactly is it that you determine who is anti-government or un-American unless you're spying on everyone? After claiming that his office absolutely does not spy on Americans, he proceeded to explain that it does apply to those who could be interpreted as a threat to national security. Really? He's in league with Mark Potok, the senior fellow at the Southern Poverty Law Center, the ultra-paranoid, ultra-left-wing group that basically classifies anyone and everyone who doesn't agree with the existing administration as an anti-American domestic terrorist organization. According to Richard Davis from the Arkansas State Fusion Center, he states, "I do what I do because of what happened on 9/11. There's this urge and this feeling inside that you want to do something, and this is the perfect opportunity for me." Really now? Well, Mr. Davis, this radio program is the perfect opportunity for me, and I also have that urge and that feeling inside that I want to do something. However, I'm doing it in a constructive format that absolutely does not shred our constitutional liberties. I'm doing it in a way that is righteous, legal, ethical, moral, and constitutional. I'm informing Americans about trash like you, who are out there monitoring everything that we do in an extra and unconstitutional fashion. Across the country, fusion centers report on individuals who are guilty of crimes like putting political stickers in public bathrooms and participating in freedom movements and anti-death penalty movements. After a 2-year investigation by a Senate permanent subcommittee, they came out with the results. One, that all of these fusion centers directly violate constitutionally protected civil liberties, number one. And two, that these fusion centers produce irrelevant, useless, or inappropriate intelligence reporting to DHS. And many produced no intelligence reporting whatsoever. That's direct quote from the report. Now they're tying facial recognition in with that. Guess where that's coming from, ladies and gentlemen? Real ID. And your Department of Revenue here in the state of Missouri, who has betrayed you, violated the law, and is apparently operating with absolute impunity. In further troubling news, U.S. Department of Homeland Security has told banks in writing that they may inspect safe deposit boxes without a warrant and seize gold, silver, guns, or other valuables they find inside those boxes. Really now? An in-house memo that's been circulating that the DHS has ordered since 2011 orders to banks across America that under the Patriot Act, signed by our demonic tyrant George Bush, the DHS has the absolute right to seize, without any warrant whatsoever, any and all customer bank accounts, to make, quote, periodic and unannounced visits to any bank to open and inspect the contents of selected safe deposit boxes. Furthermore, quote, the DHS shall, not may, shall, at the discretion of the agent supervising the search. You've got to be flippin' kidding me! At the discretion of an agent? Search, remove, photograph, or seize as evidence any of the following items: bar gold, gold coins, firearms of any kind, unless manufactured prior to 1878, documents such as passports or foreign bank account records, pornography, or any material that, in the opinion of the agent, shall be deemed to be of contraband nature. Ladies and gentlemen, you live in a damn police state. Our country is in dire, critical, exigent danger. We are already a totalitarianism. Make no mistake about it. And anyone who tells you different is either lying or force-feeding their own agenda. Make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen. Our nation is in dire trouble. This is a dire and serious crisis. It is constitutional in its nature, and we are going to have to make a determination. What kind of country do we want to live in? If you are not preparing yourself and your family, if you are not preparing your business and all of the endeavors that you pursue, if you are not playing an active role in attempting to ban and or terminate this kind of abuse, you are part of the problem and not part of the solution. We're running out of time, folks. Not to mention the fact that the DHS has not only told these banks that they can seize the contents of your safety deposit boxes without a warrant as a matter of national security, but furthermore, they've also given them the instruction that they may not notify you that it's accomplished. People, if you don't see the fact that the world currency is moving away from the dollar, Australia, China, and all the other BRICS countries just made the statement the other day. U.S. Department of Homeland Security is acting as a Stasi police force. And on top of that, we've got Fusion Center directors who state we don't spy on Americans, just anti-government Americans. Well, how do you know who's an anti-government American unless you're spying on all Americans, Mr. Davis? And by the way, why do we have to look to Russia today for this type of news? Why isn't Fox News, faux news, fake news, Communist News Network, and the drug addicts over at MSLSD reporting this to Americans? Where's the American Civil Liberties Union? Where are all the civil rights groups and organizations? Where's the NAACP? Where's the Black Caucus Now? Where's MoveOn.org? Where are they? Where is your senator? Where is your congressman? Where are your state assembly people? Where are your state senators now? Ladies and gentlemen, there is only one word to describe what is happening in our nation today. Treason. 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 Make no mistake about it. We're going to take a break. When we return, we're going to bring Jill Henderson on. She runs a blog and a site called Show Me Oz. We'll be back in a moment.
That people actually suffer from anxiety if they don't know where their cell phone is. And you know what they call it now? Are you ready? Nomophobia. There are other phobias like boob tubophobia. That's when you're afraid of missing Judge Judy. Okay, the worst of all is commandophobia.
Give Commando Saturdays from noon till 3 and Monday through Friday with your digital minute at 7:22. The Ozarks Best News Talk 107.1 The Point.
There is this product on Amazon that is simply going crazy. The banana slicer, almost 2,500 consumer reviews. I've been trying to come up with an ideal way to slice a banana. Use a knife, they say. Well, my parole officer won't let me around knives. Or how about this one? What can I say about the banana slicer that hasn't already been said about the wheel or penicillin? Obviously, just a pure hoax.
Saturdays noon to 3 and weekdays at 7:35 for your digital minute. It's Kim Commando on the Ozarks Best News Talk 107.1.
Ladies and gentlemen, the times are dire, and they are upon us. It's not cause for panic. It is cause for intelligent, articulate, well-reasoned decisions. And your decision now is going to have to be, what do I do to prepare for the inevitable? So I ask you flat out, what are you doing? Are you running around like a chicken with your head cut off? Or are you being intelligent and articulate about your decisions? Jill Henderson, the author of 3 different books, is joining us this morning. The first is called The Healing Power of Kitchen Herbs. The second is the Garden Seed Saving Guide. And the third is A Journey of Seasons, a year in the Ozarks High Country. Jill is local to our area. She is the purveyor of 2 different websites, and I'm going to give them to you. One is called showmeoz.wordpress.com. That's showmeoz, as in O-Z, .wordpress.com. She also has a Facebook page, which I encourage you to go to, and you can get there by simply typing in facebook.com/showmeoz. I would like for you to get over there and put the checkbox on the like button for her, because I think that it will be informative and educational for you to make sure that you are participating with her events there. She has this section set up for Show Me Oz, features articles on organic gardening, GMOs, seed saving, medicinal herbs, native plants and animals, conservation, and more. Good morning, Jill. Thank you for joining us.
Well, good morning, Mike. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm glad that you were able to come on with us this morning.
Yeah, me too. Be great.
So you have 3 different books out there, all of which are, by the way, purchasable directly off of your website, which is showmeoz.wordpress.com.
Yes.
And so let's talk a little bit about the Garden Seed Saving Guide, because I think right now, everyone's aware of I shouldn't say everyone. Lots and lots of folks are aware of the issues surrounding GMOs, genetically modified and genetically engineered products. Mm-hmm. And I think that at this point in time, those who are in the know are wisely making sure that they have an opportunity to save seeds, reuse them year after year, and make sure that what they're feeding their family is what they're actually expecting to get out of the ground.
That's right, yeah. And it's becoming more and more difficult all the time.
It is.
I mean, we just found out that Monsanto's doing a wheat trial in Australia, and then they'll have a wrapped up on the major commodities, because they've already got the soy and the corn, and now they're going to have wheat, which could have devastating effects. Here
Sure.
We're already having a lot of problems with GMOs. I think everybody's known that for a very long time, and the FDA has turned a blind eye to Monsanto and Bayer and Syngenta and DuPont and all these guys who are doing GMO stuff for various reasons, whether it's medical research or for food crops. But they do have a stranglehold on our food industry, and soon they're going to wrap up wheat, which is going to be, another coup d'etat in their, control of the world's food supply arsenal. And it's becoming very dangerous. That's why, I started saving seeds just sort of as a sort of a fun hobby, and as it turned out, it was very timely because it's becoming more and more crucial to learn how to save your own seeds every day. I just found out actually recently that the Missouri Department of Conservation and their Quails Forever program, or whoever's running that they're selling GMO corn and soybeans right here for people for wildlife food plots.
Pathetic.
And that's really disconcerting because right here in the Ozarks, where we are in this hilly country, it's not really conducive to growing corn and soybeans on a large scale. The land is just not suitable for it. But when you have your neighbor over here growing a plot of corn in the middle of his woods somewhere, you have no idea it's even there.
Sure.
And if he's near you, corn pollen can travel up to 5 miles through the air.
Exactly. So they're polluting what we are planting.
Exactly, and that's my point. I understand that people are aware of GMOs. I understand that there's a large segment of our population who are against genetically modified organisms. But what they don't realize is that it's coming to your doorstep right now, and there's no turning back. And we can't just rescind all those genes that get out there and contaminate your crops.
Sure.
You just can't. You just can't go, I don't want these anymore, and I'm not going to have them when pollen flies 5 miles through the air. You have no choice. And then it's also kind of like it's like my right. It's my personal property right to have my property not be contaminated with genetically modified organisms, and then have Monsanto or somebody come and sue me because of it.
Right. And that's the kicker, is that these corporations, these agri-giants or agri-tyrants, as I like to call them, have become so powerful that they are completely ruling government. I mean, the rules that are made by government are directly for their benefit, as we just saw with the Monsanto Protection Act.
Absolutely.
And when we look at that, that is the true definition of fascism, when corporations are actually bending government to their will, and then government, in order to meet the commitment that they've made for accepting the payoff, turns around and passes legislation that works against the people and for whomever is the highest bidder, essentially.
Exactly, and I think it's really crucial in this moment in time for people to stop for just a moment and finally say to themselves, look in the mirror and say, I am the government. This is a government by the people, for the people, and we have the right to stand up and be the government in this country. This is our responsibility. This is our patriotic responsibility, is to take control of our government, and when they do something stupid like this, to just flood them with calls, emails, and tell them that they have to stop all this GMO, game playing and allowing them just put out whatever they want out there without really any testing outside of their own research laboratories. Because, when we finally did get testing done on GMOs, like real independent studies, we found how detrimental they are to our health. Right. And for years and years, the FDA went ahead and let Monsanto say, "Oh, well, we did these studies and our stuff is safe." Sure. And we allowed them to do that for the last 15 years.
Well, they said that about lobotomies in the 60s,
well,
right?
Exactly, and DDT and so many other things.
Sure.
And when does it stop? And it has to be with the people. We have to stop doing this. And I might just throw this out there because we do live in an area with a lot of very religious people, and I never could quite understand why I don't hear more clamor from that sector. Because me personally, I don't think God intended rice and mice to splice. I mean, the DNA.
That's a great line, by the way.
Thank you. That's my very own. And I use it in my seed saving classes because it's true. And sometimes you have to be a little bit blunt to get your point across. Sure. But they're mixing genes of animals, plants, bacteria, viruses, and even humans into plants that we're going to eat, that we are eating. You're eating them whether you want to eat them or not. They're on the supermarket shelves. There's no avoiding them, even in some of the 100% organic. They're starting to change their rules because they cannot keep the GMO out of organic products. Sure. It's becoming more and more difficult. You can go talk to Jerry Baker over at Baker Creek Seeds, and he'll tell you they have to test every batch of corn they get in to make sure they're not infected.
The problem at this point is so pervasive across everything that we're doing in agriculture. And, the idea being, of course, is that if they can get enough farms to grow this polluted product,
right,
then essentially all farms will be the pollution will flow downhill, so to speak.
Well,
right?
exactly.
This is the only time they actually like trickle down.
Yeah.
The trickle down theory, right?
Right, exactly.
Except it's not economics; it's trickle down agriculture.
Yeah, it's trickle down toxins. It's coming your way,
but there's no way to avoid. When this issue is working like this, there's no way to avoid the fact that at some point in time, this is going to be so pervasive throughout our entire agricultural footprint that there's no way to avoid being impacted.
No,
by
that's
these.
right, absolutely.
And they know it. They know it.
They do know it, and it's like I don't know who said it, but they said give me control over the world's currency, and I'll rule the world.
I care not who rules the world. Yeah,
that's right. And you just substitute their agriculture or food supply. I mean, it all, because that's what these guys are. I mean, here Monsanto. I mean, they are the purveyors of DDT or Agent Orange, and they are actually about to they're testing now a corn strain with DDT in it, with 2,4-D, and they're going to release this on us. And they still have the Terminator technology, which, for those people who don't know, it basically can, when a plant produces seed, the germination DNA in the seed can be turned on and off by using a chemical on it. And if you don't have that chemical, then you can't germinate those seeds. And in other words, the plant won't naturally germinate its own seed.
Right.
It has to be turned on or switched on through the use of chemicals, which is, of course, for a chemical company, that's the perfect scenario there. And so you can't even, if you wanted to, you couldn't even, grow a little corn there, on the side, even if you did know or didn't know that it was contaminated. And a lot of people don't realize that what happens, too, with GMOs is, GMOs are plants just like any other plant, and they have the ability to cross-pollinate with other plants. That's how the corn gets contaminated in the first place. Well, when you start, the more food crops that come out, the more likelihood that the food crops you're growing in your garden are going to become contaminated. A lot of people don't know that right now we already have about 95% of the sugar beet crop in the United States is GMO. And sugar beets are related to, they're in the brassica family, and that could contaminate the beets in your garden.
Right.
And a Swiss chard, because they're the exact same genus and species. They're so closely related. Same with sugar beets and the zucchini and the yellow squash. That affects a lot of different squash species, all your summer squash, your zucchini, your patty pans, your acorn squash.
What's really critical is to make sure that when you are planting your garden, one, that you are planting all heirloom, because if you're not, you're actually wasting your time and you're actually defeating your own purposes. Well,
you are in a sense, but let me point out something that's really important. I mean, the hybridization process, when you get a packet of seed that says hybrid, that is just a natural breeding program. It's like taking two flowers that are related to each other and, snuggling them up together, and so there's pollination occurs. So that's a natural process, and some people like to grow hybrids because they're reliable, they have other benefits to them, but as far as saving seed, you can't do that from a hybrid. Okay, so a hybrid is a natural plant cross hybridization. That's natural. But what you're talking about is growing the heirlooms and the open pollinated seeds. Heirlooms are just really old open pollinated seeds. But yes, it is really critical. If you're going to save your own seeds, you absolutely have to grow open pollinated crops.
Right.
And you need to know how they work and how their flowers work in order to get a good seed crop, one that comes true time after time.
Sure. Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the other areas that you've covered on your including the farm markets, because I think these farmers markets are critical to our ability to be self-reliant and self-sufficient, one, as a state, and two, as individuals and communities. I'm a big proponent of the farmers market and the concept that communities are working and rallying together, knowing who's who in the community, so that we can all work together towards a better end. So if you'll hang on with us for this break, we'll be right back. Folks, we're going to take a quick break. When we do return, we'll speak again with Jill Henderson, and I'll give you the information to reach her website and her Facebook page. We'll be back in just a moment.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. The U.S. flexing its military muscle again after North Korea's recent threats, sending 2 F-22 fighter jets to take part in South Korea's war games. That's after flying 2 stealth bombers over the region last week.
Technically, North Korea and South Korea have been at war for 60 years. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, meantime, declaring his country's nuclear program is a top priority. Despite recent rhetoric, military analysts suggest full-scale conflict is unlikely.
Fox Radio's Jaron Halpern. Kaufman County, Texas is in shock after District Attorney Michael McClellan and his wife were killed in their home this weekend. Resident Mary Aiken.
We do need to be more careful in our community and more observant and not just assume because we have a small, wonderful country community that we're safe.
2 months ago, an assistant Kaufman County DA was gunned down near his office. Fox News. We report, you decide.
Thanks to our friends over at Ozark Mountain Self-Reliance. You can reach Brian down there at 870-492-4030. It's located a half mile east of Walmart on 3225 Route 62, Mountain Home. My dear friend Mary over at Chantilly's Artisan Bakery, the best damn bakery in 100 miles. She's located at number 2 Evans Arcade, and you can call her at 255-2253. My friends over at Pizza Hut on Porter Wagoner Boulevard. They have an outstanding lunch opportunity. You can, from 11 till 2, and you can have salad and pizza, something tasty and something good for you. Our friends Bill Stone over at Stone Construction at 293-0116. If you're considering doing any kind of remodeling, new or custom construction and or light commercial, give Bill a call and let him bid on your next project. Our friends at the Battery Station at 303 Washington Avenue, 417-257-7799. They can be found at thebatterystation.com. Our friends over at West Plains Pawn and Gun, an outstanding opportunity with 400 firearms under glass. You can reach them at 417-256-3000, and they are located at westplainspawn.com. Located physically at Highway 160, about a mile past Walmart on the right-hand side. And finally, the sponsor of our phone lines, Wits End Classic Barbershop, located on the square in West Plains. Best haircut you can get for $10, and a nice young man as well. Please visit and support our sponsors.
Hi, I'm Scott Corman, President of Community First. We want to be your bank. We believe in the strength of our communities, businesses, families, and future. We're not just locally owned, but community owned. And we operate today just as we started, by living up to our name, putting you and our communities first.
Living up to our name, community first, banking company.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Weather is a service of News Talk 107.1 The Point. Contact Josh or Cody at 255-2548 for more information on making weather sponsorships part of your marketing plans.
From the Point Weather Center for this morning, a partly cloudy sky, becoming mostly cloudy as we head to the day with a slight chance for an afternoon shower, high 56. Mostly cloudy tonight, a stray shower early, flurry later tonight, the low 32. Mostly cloudy tomorrow with a couple of showers, high 48. Sunshine Wednesday, high 52. I'm meteorologist Jim Rinaldi. For more information, visit my1071thepoint.com.
Hi, this is Janet from Earl's Dodge Chrysler Jeep in West Plains, and it's time to get behind the wheel of an all-new Ram. And you will not only notice the power and performance built into every Ram, but the functional design as well. The high, broad-shouldered driver's seat lets you feel in control, while the triple-sealed doors provide a quiet ride for you and up to 5 buddies. Drive one today at the Ram Truck Month event at Earl's Dodge Chrysler Jeep, North Highway 63 in West Plains, or online at earlsdodgejeep.com, where buying a vehicle is as simple as it should be.
All right, we're speaking with Jill Henderson. Jill is the author of 3 different books, and she is a local girl here in, or gal here in West Plains area. She has a website out there that you can get to called showmeoz.wordpress.com. And then also she has a Facebook page, which is very informative, and that is facebook.com/showmeoz. So I'd like to, we had a caller who called in here on the break, and we'll bring her on as well. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Yes, good morning.
Good
Jill,
morning.
You may, without knowing it, have told us why our president has a taster for all his foods. I wonder if the Congress also have tasters for their food.
Well, you know, they probably don't even need to have tasters because they're wealthy enough and they have enough privilege that they could probably just have everything, genetically tested before they ever eat it.
Sure.
They don't live in the real world like we do. And but I completely understand that sentiment.
Actually, I think all presidents have food tasters.
I think
by the
they
way.
probably do.
I'm not laying the blame on our current tyrant
Right.
because we've had plenty of tyrants before him, and they all have food tasters.
I can see that. Sure, why not?
The Secret Service will not say that publicly because they don't want to give the wrong impression to us, which is actually the right impression, but from their perspective, it's the wrong one.
Yeah.
But the simple truth is that all presidents have food tasters, and the reason that they do that is because, and it's interesting because this was publicly known or brought out the other day when Obama met with a bunch of Republican congressional leaders, and they all had a lobster salad at a budget-cutting discussion lunch. Lobster salad at a budget-cutting lunch, huh? You gotta just love it, right?
That is sort of ironic, yeah.
And he was, according to the senators, he was sitting there longingly eyeing that lobster salad, but couldn't have any because his food taster wasn't available. And so, of course, they were all joshing him about it and saying, well, we're eating it, we're not keeling over, so why can't you? And he refused and wouldn't.
There you go.
So,
maybe we need to figure out how to grow everything hydroponically in our living room.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, in a little biosphere bubble so that you don't get exposed to the contamination of
sure.
the GMOs.
And one thing you can do is you can go look at that product that we've had with Sherry Willis on, the Half Pint Homestead, because, I mean, you can grow quite a bit for yourselves right in your living room. So if you haven't looked at that, make sure that you do. It's half-pinthomestead.com.
Mm-hmm. I've seen that one, yeah.
Thanks very much for your call. Appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, sweetie. So, okay, so I want to just talk a little bit about the farmers market stuff here because
Sure.
I believe that farmers markets and the community are going to be the last hope, essentially, for our geographic area.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what we're looking at here over the course of the next year or 2 years or whatever, or 3 years, is going to be a all-out assault on the small farmer. And if we are not able to obtain the produce that we need, and not just produce, but also meats and other things locally, then I think we're in serious trouble here.
Mm-hmm.
And there is nothing better than the community knowing, okay, who's who in the community, who has skills here, who grows that, who's a good diesel mechanic, who's a good, if we're not working as a community, then I think we're really missing the boat here.
I agree completely. As a matter of fact, it's right there up there in my mantra. When I talk to people about GMOs or saving seeds or whatever, it's about building community through, things like farmers markets or, community-supported agriculture, supporting our small farms, even our local economy as far as, trying to buy local, keeping your money in small
Sure.
businesses because, your money, if your money goes to the big corporation, then it gets flushed out of town into another bank that's not even here, that has no roots here. And
Right.
then it just gets skimmed off and goes to someone else. At least here, with a local bank or a local business, that money goes into their bank account. They spend it. Their neighbors spend it. My neighbors spend it.
Sure.
And then we make it all back again, and it just keeps going around. That's the way we strengthen our local communities. And we
know for a fact that money spent locally
yes,
rotates 7 to 12 times.
exactly.
And money spent externally to large, supermarkets and what have you is spent once.
Yeah, exactly. And at least here I know who I'm supporting, and you know
what you're getting.
And you know what you're getting, and you have some influence on what you're getting, because if you're buying from a local producer, you can say, okay, well, this is an issue I'm seeing here, or are you growing GMOs, or where is what source? What are you using on your crops? Are you organic? Are you non-organic? Or what are you using? I mean, you can query the people that you work with in your community, and they can understand what you want, and customize their stuff to fit their customers' needs, which are also local. And so all of those things come around. It's a big revolving door, but we have to jump in there and just kind of go around together. And that's another thing as far as, bringing people together in this community. We have a lot of different kind of people and more all the time. We're getting, the Ozarks has become quite a popular place to live. And
sure.
So, we're having an influx of a lot of people coming from different places, which is good. I think it increases the vitality of our community, but we have to learn how to work together. We have to find the common ground that we believe in and focus on those things, not on the things that separate us, whether it's religion or politics or, whatever it is, but we need to find the things that we have in common and work on those, because that's how we strengthen our community.
Sure. Well, and of course, newcomers bring in different skill sets, right? And,
they do.
And I'm a strong believer in the concept of the community being able to turn to each other, where you have an issue where somebody needs assistance or help or whatever the case may be, where they can say, hey, I'm going to make sure that I'm using Joe because he's a plumber who has thoughts and ideas and concepts and works in the community like I do.
Mm-hmm.
And that if you're gonna bring and have workers do work for you, or you're going to have a mechanic repair your vehicle, from that to where you're buying your food, all of that is community oriented and based.
It is,
and it should be.
And that's why our farmers markets and stuff are so important too.
Right.
And it's a great gathering place. It's a great place to come together and meet other people who think like you do. I mean, I do a seed swap every year, and at our seed swap, it's amazing who comes.
Sure.
I mean, just the diversity of people there. If I were able to talk to every single person there, I'm sure I could elicit different responses on different issues, of all kinds of important topics. But the point is that we come together under one umbrella, and that is gardening, land-based, growing our own food, trying to avoid GMOs. I mean, because that's the one thing we don't allow.
It's self-sufficiency and self-reliance.
Absolutely,
so,
absolutely.
Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to call you on this line, Mr. Evans. This is Chris Frank. I had some information for you.
Good morning. Okay. Well, then you can, unless it's pertinent to what we're talking about today, you can give me a shout later on my cell.
That's the problem. I don't have it, sir.
Okay. Put you on hold, and I'll give it to you. Sorry.
That's all right.
So I think our issues really at this point are how and where can, and by the way, I will mention to you folks that the website, which is showmeoz.wordpress.com, actually has a listing of all of the different farmers markets in our area. So, I mean, each county has a listing for all the different farmers markets. And to me, that is, the epitome. You've got the hours of operation on there and everything else.
And I try to keep those current, but if anybody goes there and finds something that's, not current or that's, inaccurate, definitely drop me a line. There's a little contact form at the end of each of those pages. I have it for Arkansas and Missouri in the Ozark area.
I gotcha. Yeah.
And I also have on there, I think what you were about to lead up to, too, was how do people find seeds and stuff that aren't GMO.
Correct. We've got heirloom seed sources on here,
exactly.
Which is an invaluable link.
Yes, that's a list that's in the works constantly. Because here's a big problem that we're facing here in the non-GMO movement is that Monsanto now owns 53% of the world seed market, and that includes small seed companies that sell garden seeds to you and I.
Right.
I mean, that's not just some big, Roundup Ready corn or whatever. It's definitely just the little garden seeds that we grow. Now, here in for those of us who really don't want to support Monsanto or Syngenta or whoever else is out there selling these GMO, you're not probably going to find GMO seeds in these small seed companies that they own, but I personally am not going to help pay their way to continue to create more GMOs, so I won't buy from those companies. And as far as I know, none of those companies are listed on that list.
Sure.
And if you find one, let me know and I'll take it off.
Sure.
But those are all, they tend to be small individual seed companies. There are a few larger ones, but it's a good place to start. And there's a lot that take the Safe Seed Pledge, which also talks about GMOs, that they won't knowingly sell GMOs to the public. So it's a great resource.
I see you've got White Harvest Seed Company on here with Mike Knox. He's a friend of ours.
Yeah.
He does a great job. He's out of Hartville, and he has a group of different platforms, and he carries all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
He's been a real stalwart supporter of this program. So
absolutely, and I guess I can't get away from the show without actually telling some people how to start saving their seeds, because right now is the time to do it.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've got a break coming up. If you can stick with us through this segment, we can cover that in the next.
All right, sounds great.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Folks, we're listening and speaking with Jill Henderson this morning. She is the author and the purveyor of showmeoz.wordpress.com. facebook.com. That's her direct website. And you can also find her information at facebook.com/ShowMeOz. On there, you can find this list of seed producers and sources, and then you can also obtain the 3 books that she has written, and I would strongly encourage you to do that. The Healing Power of Kitchen Herbs, The Garden Seed Saving Guide, and A Journey of Seasons. We'll be back in just a moment.
Last time on the Dennis Miller Show.
At an event thrown by the website Politico, Bill Gates said, quote, "Some days I wish we had a system like the UK, quote, to give Obama more power." Yeah, some days I wish Windows worked like Apple. How's that, Billy Boy? These guys are fetishistic. He's in the, he wants it to work more like the UK. He wants to see Obama padding around in one of those powder
Weekdays
wigs.
from 9 till noon, it's the Dennis Miller Zone on the Ozarks Best News Talk 107.1.
The area's best selection of firearms and ammunition can only be found at West Plains Pawn and Jewelry. Top-of-the-line handguns from Kimber, Smith & Wesson, Ruger, Glock, Beretta, and many more. A wide selection of ammunition, including blanks, centerfire handgun and rifle, rimfire, a variety of shotgun shells, target, and turkey. With new arrivals every week, the area's best selection of firearms and ammunition can only be found at West Plains Pawn and Jewelry, 1713 West U.S. Highway 160, or shop online at westplainspawn.com. Howell County Bank, branch of Bank of Thayer, offers a variety of lending services. Consumer loans are great for car, truck, or vacation purchases. Ag loans work well for livestock and real estate acquisitions. Plus, businesses need to take advantage of commercial loans when starting or expanding current business ventures. Come by today and let the staff help you make the all-important decision easy and stress-free. At Howell County Bank, branch of Bank of Thayer, it's not what they do, it's how they do it. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Hi, it's Hugh Hewitt on the next Hugh Hewitt Show. Joe Kernan of CNBC Squawk Box joins me to talk about how long and how far this rally can go and whether or not Apple's ever going to get back on board, though they had a wonderful day on Friday. And I'll be joined by Congressman Tom Cotton, around whom considerable swirl continues to spin, because he might be running for the United States Senate.
Sundays from 6 till 7, following Money Talk with Bob Brinker, it's the Weekend Journal with Hugh Hewitt on the Ozarks Best News Talk 107.1.
Okay, we are speaking again this morning with Jill Henderson. Jill is the author of 3 different books, and I would encourage you to make sure that you get each of those. The titles are The Healing Power of Kitchen Herbs. Also, the second book is The Garden Seed Saving Guide, and then the third is A Journey of Seasons. These are available electronically via ebook or in actual printed form if you are a traditionalist and a reading traditionalist. Right?
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
I know, isn't that sad? We have to be reading traditionalists now if you want it in paper.
That's right.
But the issue of getting these books, I think, is an important aspect of being able to understand where you're coming from and how they can best utilize their own skill and your skills and pass that on. One of the things that we've lost here in our nation is kind of the idea of what our grandparents knew, when they actually didn't have a shopping center and refrigeration and all the rest of those
That's
things.
That's right,
So.
yeah. And where organic was not a term that was bantered about because everyone was organic.
Right, exactly.
It's sort of ironic, isn't it?
So you wanted to touch on another topic after we had come back from the break,
Sure.
and so let's hit on that.
Yeah, obviously this is about, we've talked a lot about GMOs and what we can do to try to stop, the invasion of GMOs. One of them, obviously, is to get on the horn and start hollering at all your congresspeople and legislators and anybody who will listen to you and tell them you just don't want it. You don't want them. You don't want them here. We can pass legislation right here in our little community that says, we don't want GMOs here. They've done it in other states, and we can do it here.
Right.
But I do want to talk a little bit about seed saving because, obviously, if you're going to try to avoid GMOs, one of the most important things you can do is learn how to save your own seed. And right now is a perfect time to start because a lot of things in the garden need to be separated a little bit in order to get that pure seed that you're looking for. So, you don't want to plant all 5 varieties of your peppers together because they're going to cross-pollinate one another.
Right.
And so.
So how should they do that? I mean, what's the right method to that?
There you go. Well, there's a lot to it. You have to talk about, like in the beginning of my seed saving guide, I talk a lot about the fundamentals of seed saving, and we don't have all the time to go into all those different aspects, but basically we're trying to avoid cross-pollination between plants that are of the same genus and species. And you can go into your seed packets and look at them, and they're going to say something like radish sparkler or, dill Long Island mammoth. And if you don't know the genus and the species, that's the Latin botanical name of those seeds that you're growing in your garden. Mm-hmm. So you can just pop on the internet, type in and write Latin botanical name, or go to a very good seed company that lists those. Like some of the seed companies put them in their catalogs. And that's the 2 little words that are always in parentheses. You find there in italics, in parentheses, and it's something like Lycopersicum esculentum. Those words.
Yeah.
So if those 2 words, if you have, let's take peppers for example. All peppers basically are Capsicum annum. So what that tells us is if they share the genus and species name, those 2 Latin botanical names, it's almost guaranteed that they have the ability to cross-pollinate one another.
Right.
So if you have different varieties, so you have, let's say you have California Wonder bell pepper and a Serrano bell pepper growing right next to each other, because of the types of flowers they have, it's kind of unlikely because they have perfect self-pollinating flowers, but it's not impossible, and they can cross-pollinate. And
so should they just be on separate sides of the garden, separated by something else? In other words, you do tomatoes, and then you do maybe peppers, and then you do something else, carrots in between,
yes,
or
exactly.
radishes,
yes,
or lettuce,
exactly.
or something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, yes, exactly. That's what we call isolation in the seed-saving, business. And basically, you put some separation or isolate the different varieties, the similar varieties. So your peppers, if you don't have a big garden, just put them on the 4 corners of your garden. That's enough distance. Hot peppers are more prone to cross-pollinating than sweet peppers, but it's the sweet peppers that always get, pollinated by the hot peppers, and it kind of messes them up.
I won't have that problem. I don't grow hot peppers.
But there are lots of different things to consider, but, the key to it is understanding how plants are related to one another. See, this is what we don't have to worry about with GMOs because we can just force those genes in, but in open-pollinated seeds, we have to know the genus and species of each plant in our garden and how they're related to one another, and that's how we prevent them from cross-pollinating.
Sure.
And some are much more prone to cross-pollination, like corn. This is why you can't keep, corn pure of GMOs, because corn, the pollen travels through the air. It's wind-driven, and it can travel up to 5 miles. The same with okra, for example. And spinach is also wind-driven.
Right.
And the other ones, a lot of the other ones are insect, driven. But, you're talking about things like the different kinds of flowers. If you look at squash plants, for example, they have different flowers altogether from tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, which are all related. And so you have to see which devices, whether it's insect, wind, how the pollen is moved from flower to flower, and then try to just grow one variety, which are, like butternut squash. Just try to grow one variety of each species in your garden in a year.
Sure.
And that way they won't cross-pollinate with one another. You're just absolutely 100% sure. So only grow, one kind of winter squash, one kind of summer squash, and that sort of thing.
Sure.
But I do talk a lot about that in my book, and it's really important to learn about how plants pollinate one another and how they're related. That's the key to saving pure seed.
It's in the garden seed saving guide.
Yes.
And folks, that's available on paperback, excuse me, for $11, and it's also available as an electronic book. So you can actually download it and read it on your Kindle or whatever you've got it.
Exactly. And it's not very long. It's not very long, and it's geared towards beginner seed savers. I talk in here like a normal human being so that everybody can understand, the principle. But once you understand the principles behind it, and then you start, doing it a little bit, it just finally all rolls together. And even the more difficult seeds to save it becomes easier because you understand how plants reproduce.
Right.
And once you do that, you're good to go. You can just fly. You can do a lot of things. And
you also have an article called "Saving Seed Begins in Spring," and that's directly on your WordPress blog, which is showmeoz.wordpress.com. showmeoz.com. That's right. Again, that's showmeoz, O-Z, .wordpress.com. So, and also you have your Facebook page, which is facebook.com/showmeoz.
That's it.
So, well, listen, I want to thank you very, very much for joining with us this morning. We're out of time, of course. We're at the top of the hour.
All right.
There are some days I wish that we did a 3-hour show during the week, and because it makes it a little easier to bring guests on and run for a longer period of time.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. And, we do a Saturday show, too, so maybe we can have you on a Saturday. We almost have like 2 audiences there. So
there you go. All right.
Give you an opportunity to spread the word to some other folk that only listen to us on the weekends.
Well, that'd be great. I'd appreciate that.
Well, thank you very much for being with us. Appreciate you.
You bet, Mike. Thank
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Folks, that was Jill Henderson. She is the author of 3 different books, and the first of those is The Healing Power of Kitchen Herbs. The second is The Garden Seed Saving Guide, and the third is A Journey of Seasons, A Year in the Ozarks High Country. I would encourage you to get to her website, again, which is showmeoz, O-Z, .wordpress.com, and you can also find her Facebook page at facebook.com/showmeoz. I did get a call from a listener who had asked that we give out a phone number. I don't have a way to do that. We don't have an address and a phone number for Jill that's not her personal information. And so if you have an interest in that, send me an email to mike@americasvoicenow.org. You can send me, or you can call the station here, and I'll try to make sure that and leave a message for me. The station, you can call the main station number, and I will try to make sure that I get a chance to give you a shout back and give you that information on a one-on-one private basis. I want to thank you for joining with us today. Make sure that you are following out in what we talk about every single day. You can do that by capturing information on our website, which is americasvoicenow.org. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/americasvoicenow. You can also capture this and every other show that we do on YouTube at youtube.com/americasvoicenow. There are a couple of things I would like you to do. One is you can also, by the way, send me email to mike@americasvoicenow.org. That's mike@americasvoicenow.org. If you're interested in participating in our 2-day tactical shooting class, that's coming up this Saturday and Sunday. You must get me information. This date was moved from last week when we had that storm. And so the 6th and the 7th of April will be the 2-day tactical pistol course. It's $175. It's a 2-day course. You're going to shoot 800 rounds. You can bring a .22, which makes ammo a lot easier to obtain and cheaper. Also, listen, when you are going out there and you're shopping on Amazon and places like that, you can really help support our program by visiting our website first at americasvoicenow.org and simply click on an Amazon link. Or if you're going to Brownells, you can click on the Brownells link. When you're buying parts and things like that for firearms and stuff through Amazon, through Brownells, or if you're going to buy products on Amazon, whether it's a television or whether it's a quilt or whether it's a book or something, you can go to those links directly and click through to Amazon and then search for whatever you want. By doing that, you actually help to support our program, and we desperately need your assistance and your help. If you'd like to donate, you can do that directly by going to our website at americasvoicenow.org. Also, if you are an individual, I am in need of some fill dirt, and if anybody out there has any, I'd be much appreciative if you would be willing to contact me at mike@americasvoicenow.org and let me know what we can do to put something together for some fill dirt, preferably clean fill. I don't want any trash in there, but I could really use some. If there's anybody out there that has any, give me a shout or send me an email to mike@americasvoicenow.org. We'll be back tomorrow morning, and we are going to cover some of these issues we started talking about today in the Fusion Center, the Department of Homeland Security, and others. You're listening to America's Voice Now. My name is Michael Evans. Thanks for joining with us this morning.
We are the Ozarks' best news talk, KBMV Birch Tree.